if you watched last week's episode around what is the truth for transformation, this week is a follow-up around that. Now that I know what I want, how do I go about achieving that? And what are the 4 key things that I need to own to go from where I am now to where I want to be with the least resistance, and to make sure that I'm setting myself up with the greatest chance of success? So make sure you stay tuned, dive in, get out pen and paper if you need to, because I am drawing again today. So you get to put up with my kindergarten type drawings and enjoy laughing at me. But as a follow-up from last week, I got a bunch of questions and a bunch of DMs around, cool, I understand where my current frame is. And if you haven't watched that episode, go back there. But basically, your frame is how you currently see your inner world as well as your outer world, how you operate in terms of your rules, laws, stories, and beliefs, and how they're dictating your current results. And what I posed the question and what we looked at last week was, how do you then get out of that current frame? How do you smash that current frame in order to move towards a bigger frame, a better frame, a different reality, both externally and internally, and when it comes to your results? All right. And what we want to look at today is, what is the path to actually get there? Like, how do you actually start this process? Because a lot of people are very good at getting to awareness, but awareness doesn't mean jack shit if you don't know what to do once you're there. Otherwise, you just say, hey, I'm fat. Cool. Yeah, I'm fat too. Like, we're all fat. But then what happens? Like, you just stay fat, right? And that's just a poor example. But you need to look at what we can transition, which is what I talked about last week, and ultimately to create that next transformation, which today we're going to look at in terms of how do you go from the pit. All right. And let me pull this up for you guys. All right. How do I go from the pit, okay, to the peak? All right. And let me see if I can get this in a smaller picture so we can all look at the same things. Okay. So now that we've got my beautiful drawing, what we want to do is we want to understand that right now, pit is where I'm living. This is where my problems are. All right. Peak is where my possibilities will lie. All right. So that's basically where I'll be able to go from where I am now to where I want to be. And it's always going to be a level of elevation, right? It's that next step up. It's that next thing, whether it'll be with your body, whether it'll be financially, relationship-wise, everything else. You want to visualize it in terms of you elevating your game, you elevating your life. All right. Now, what we have to understand is that in order to go from the pit, which we're sitting over here, to the peak, we need to go through here. All right. Which is our gap, which we spoke about last week. And again, for context, go back there and check it out if you need to, because ultimately what I want to do is I want to show you how to move forward from there, from awareness into action. All right. Now, what we have to understand is in the gap, all right, it is one of the hardest areas to stay long-term, but without staying there long enough, you're never going to be able to actually envision what you want your peak to be. You are going to struggle to own the truth of your current situation in order to create the beliefs that you can create a new reality for yourself. You can build a new version of you, your life, your relationships, whatever it is that you are focused on. All right. Because honestly, this is where most people stay stuck. And again, I referred to it a lot last week. And we want to have a look at, okay, cool. Now that I understand that in order for me to be able to go to the peak, to be able to claim the possibilities of what I want, I need to work my way through the gap. And last week I talked about transitions and all the little steps that you can take to get across the gap. All right. But once I'm across the gap, then what? Where am I going? What is my vision? What do I need to own during this transitional period, right? In order to obtain the transformation, what do I need to own in order to get through that and make sure that I have elevated, that I have grown, that I've expanded, that I am a better version of me? All right. And that's what we're going to have a look at today, because it's going to come down to owning 4 key things, right? Number one, and again, let me make sure I can get this up here for you guys, okay? All right, what we want to look at is real. 2, raw. 3, relevant. And 4, results. All right, and again, I'm going to try my best to fit all of this in here so we can see it as well as possible. All right, but ultimately, I need to look at real, raw, relevant results. And in order for me to do that, I need to look at things in 2 ways. I need to look at things in terms of what are the facts of my situation, and then what is the freedom I am wanting to achieve. Because ultimately, that's how I'm going to know where I am. I'm going to be able to measure myself against my current facts, and I'm going to be able to measure myself against where am I in relation to what freedom means for me, which is ultimately being able to live in the peak of possibilities. Now, some of this might sound metaphorical, all right? For you, some of you might be trying to wrap your head around it. All I want you to do is understand that this is a process of transformation and elevation, from taking you from where you are to where you want to be. But where you want to be every single time is at another level. And there's a couple of key things that we need to be willing to do and own inside the gap in order for us to be able to achieve that time in and time out, and in order to be able to apply it to different areas of our life. And that's what I want to break down for you now, so that you have this key process that you can take to relate back to where I am, where I want to be, and what do I need to do in the gap right now to start this process and to start taking action. All right. And it all starts here. First thing we need to do is we need to look at the real facts. All right. We need to look at where are you right now in relation to everything that's happened today, in relation to how you're feeling, in relation to your current beliefs, in relation to your current frame that we went through last week, right? Your rules, your laws, your stories, your beliefs, everything that basically is your both inner and external world. And ultimately, what we want to be able to do now is to own the truth of that, which means we're going to have to face the raw feelings of our current reality. We're going to have to face the raw emotions around not being okay with where I am. And that not being the end of the world. Just realizing that, hey, is this working for me? If it's not working for me, cool. I get it. It's not working for me. And if it's not working for you, what are some of the emotions and feelings that come up? Do you have feelings of unworthiness? Do you have feelings of I'm not good enough? Do you have feelings of I'm not somebody that can do that and get there? And then there's doubt and uncertainty. And then you stay in this whole emotional cycle. And then there's shame, right? Because you know that you want more, but you don't believe you can have more. So you don't go after more. So then you live in guilt and shame. And then you stay stuck in the pit of pain. And that's what we ran through last week, right? But ultimately, what we've got to do now is we've got to break out of that. We've got to break free so that we can envision everything that we want. And it's going to come down to these 4 principles of real facts, raw feelings and emotions, and being able to own both of these free from judgment, but taking full responsibility. I can be responsible for everything that I've done and how I feel and my current reality without judging myself as being good or not good. Can I be better? 100%. Where do I need to be better? That's the facts that I need to focus on, which then brings us to the next thing, which is relevant focus. What do I need to focus on? Because right now, if you're looking at your current situation and you're focusing on all the things that you're not good at, all of the limiting beliefs that you held to date, all of the reasons why you can't, all of the external influences, circumstances, situations that are in your way, that's where your focus is. So where do you think you're going to stay? You're going to stay in the pit of pain. You're going to stay where you don't want to be. You're going to stay in your old frame. You're going to stay in a reality that you don't want to be in. And for what? You just weren't willing to change your focus. You weren't willing to channel your relevant focus towards what it is that you actually want. rather than always focusing on everything that you don't like, don't have, and don't want. And that might seem small, but it's the difference between why somebody is able to move out of their current reality and into a new one, or why they will stay stuck. Because I can own the facts. I can own and take responsibility and feel all of the emotions and feelings that come up. But if I'm not willing to then channel my focus in a relevant direction, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm just going to get in the car and not know where the fuck I'm driving to. I'm just going to sit there. Where am I going? I don't know. I know I don't like where I am. The facts are telling me that I'm not okay with it. My feelings are only backing that up. And now I'm sitting here in awareness. I'm aware of all of these things. My focus is on all of these things, but where am I going? Relevant focus in the direction that you want to go. Relevant focus in the areas that you need to improve, that you need to take action, and that you need to own and show up at a different level. That's where we need to channel your focus in order for us to be able to claim the fruit, okay? The fruit of our labor, the fruit of our efforts, the fruit of our willingness to focus on the things that challenge us, that will change us, that will test us, that will allow us to grow. Even though there is fear, doubt, uncertainty, even though in the pit it's dark, it's cold, you can't see your way out. You can't see the light. You can't see your vision yet. And the reason why we have to do all of this, all right, let's see if I can get it up here, is that we want the old to die. And we want the new to shine. And I did a post this week and I sent it out to my email list. Are you willing to die and be reborn over and over again until you get closer to ultimately becoming this, to becoming the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be, to living the way that you've always wanted to live, to feeling the way that you've wanted to feel, to have the level of intimacy and sensuality, to have a body that fucking makes you feel like the sexiest human on earth, to own confidence in a way that makes you unstoppable. It's not attached to ego. It's attached to effort. It's attached to you showing up for you and choosing you day in and day out on a consistent basis. And this is the path that we need to be able to take. This is the way that we go from being stuck, all right, here in the pit. And it's how we work our way towards the peak. And we have to be able to die and be reborn, die and be reborn, die and be reborn until we are where we are. And guess what? As soon as you're there, you're going to see another peak. And then you're going to get to that peak and you're going to see another peak again. That's life. That's why as human beings, our brains and our entire infrastructure has been designed to adapt, to evolve. Our DNA over time is designed to make sure that we are highly adaptable. Otherwise, it actually starts dying off. Think about that. We are designed to evolve. And when we don't evolve, we slowly start to die off, dissipate, and things start to go and disappear. Like, fuck, I'm not willing to play that game at all. But what I wanted to give you today was just a really simple framework to start this process. All right. And last week's video was a lot longer and I went into all of this stuff in a lot more depth. So go back and listen to that. Okay. I'll try and link it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll link it to the bottom of this video so you can go back and check that out. But ultimately, what I want to understand is that I have my current reality. I have a new reality that I want to live. And that might be as simple right now for some of you as I just want to be happy. I just want to be happier with me. I just want to like this person that I see in the mirror. Great. What a fucking awesome goal. I wish more people would focus on just being happy, right? There'd be less people walking around with their heads in their phones trying to hide from life and not even knowing what it's like to fucking smile at a human anymore. Like, it blows my mind. And if that's you, great. If you have bigger goals than that and you want to achieve things in every area of your life, even better, go for it. Why the fuck should there be any limits on what you want? Go for it all. Have it all. Have it all and want it all. It doesn't make you greedy. It makes you hungry to evolve. It makes you somebody who is passionate about embracing everything that life has offered us and to live each day in its fullest, rather than just surviving, putting your head in the blanket and waiting for days to pass so that you don't have to figure your shit out and you can just stay comfortable, rather than dealing with the pit of pain and what it's going to take to make sure that I can own each of these four things. Real facts, right? And inside of my Mindset Mastery program, the very first lesson that we do is we have what's called the raw truth conversation with you. And it's funny, I had a couple of the exercises for homework come through this morning, and I always review them myself and send voice messages back to everyone that completes every single exercise, because for me, I feel it's important that they know somebody is there. And it's great to get context sometimes when you do an exercise, because sometimes you don't see things the same way that maybe somebody else will, who's walked the path before you and has helped lots of other people do the same. And for me, to see where people are at and to try and understand how they've been willing, and it is willing because they didn't make a different choice, how they've been willing to sit in the level of pain that they've been in and to create these fucking bullshit stories that they think somehow will make themselves feel better. And it fucking doesn't, because ultimately they don't have what they want. They don't feel the way that they want. And guess what? That's what you have to live with every day. And you're wondering why you don't like the person that's looking at you in the mirror. You wonder why you're not happy. There's no progress. There's no evolution. There's no you becoming a better you. It's just you existing and then trying somehow to think that's going to be okay or it'll work itself out. And if you're a busy woman, if you're somebody who wants more, you want to embrace more, you want to go after everything that this life has to offer you, if you're willing to chase it, reach out to me. Let me know, because you are the exact type of person that I want to help, because I want you to realize that you have the ability to do anything you want. You just need to be empowered with the tools. You need to be empowered with principles like this to be able to walk through the journey and guarantee your success, to be able to work through a process to reveal what you need in order to win day in and day out, so that you are continuing to move forward and evolve. That's the most important part, because when we feel stuck, we get lost. We hide, right? In the pit. Suddenly you don't find the door. You're going to be in there for a while, searching around, trying to find the next door. It's pitch black in there. No one's giving you the answers. No one's coming along to save you. You have to figure this shit out on your own, unless you have somebody who's been there and they followed the path and they're willing to shine the light down into the pit for you and show you a way out, which is ultimately why I love what I do. All right. And all I want you to take from today's episode more than anything is just take on those four things. Just take them on. What are the real facts of where you are? What are the raw emotions? What is the relevant focus that you need to put in place in order to achieve the results? And what do those results look like for you? What does the fruit look like? What is it that you want to work towards? What is it that you want? And why is it important for you? And why is it something that you have to go from wanting to desiring to having to fucking have no matter what? Because that's going to be the biggest difference in why you do this versus why you don't. Because motivation is not fucking coming along. Enthusiasm might be around for a few days a month. Ultimately, it's by showing up day in and day out and working through principles and processes like this that will reveal the path that you need to continue to take. And again, if there's anything I can do to help you with that, reach out to me, send me a DM, email me at adam@ilovechanginglives.com. And I'll let you know exactly how we do that for every single one of our clients and how you can work through this process yourself. Otherwise, have a kick-ass week. Make sure that you work through that exercise. If you didn't watch last week's episode on frames, go back and start there, because this series is going to continue to evolve, and I'm going to continue to, at least for the next 2 or 3 episodes, to connect back to this entire process where I'm going to show you exactly how you can start working through things to have it all and to make sure that you can set yourself up to be the best you 2.0.